Morning, and thank you for joining us on the Friday edition of TVC Breakfast. I am Veronica Boy.
And I'm Ibrahim Sheta. Thank you so much for joining us on TVC Breakfast. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and we say thank God it's Friday.
I knew you were going to say that. In fact, the week ran so fast.
Honestly, I thought it was even Thursday.
Well, thank God it's the weekend is here.
Right.
And we're looking forward to it, especially some of us.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it there.
Absolutely.
But anyway, like we rightly pointed out, we have an area of issues we'll be looking at this morning. But first, let's begin with this story where the Nigeria Governors Forum has endorsed a revised value-added tax sharing formula in the proposed tax reform bills to ensure equitable distribution of resources across the country.
That's right. This decision was taken at the end of the Subnational Consultations and engagements of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee. They recommended that the sharing formula of VAT should be 50% based on equity, 30% based on derivation, and 20% based on consumption. The meeting to deliberate on critical national issues, including the reform of Nigeria's fiscal policies and tax system, also agreed that there should be no increase in the VAT rate or reduction in corporate income tax at this time. The forum advocates continued exemption of essential goods and agricultural produce from VAT to safeguard the welfare of citizens and promote agricultural productivity. The governors also recommended that there should be no terminal clause for TETFund, NASENI and NETDA in the sharing of development levies in the bills. Another significant outcome of the meeting between the NGF and the Presidential Tax Reform Committee is the support for the continuation of the legislative process at the National Assembly that will culminate in the eventual passage of the tax reform bills. Interesting development, Veronica. Some of these areas which they talked about is that of the 30% derivation, which is based on derivation, meaning that it's going to incentivize states to boost local activities, local economic activities, look inward, not just relying on federal allocation, especially when it comes to the 50% based on equality, where they are meant to share it based on the population of all of the states.
Well, the first thing for me is the fact that all the governors are on all fours with regards to the tax reform bill. It's a good thing. That's a good place to start. And that they are agreeing on certain key issues that generated concerns, because we recall that when the tax reform bill was made public, it generated a lot of controversy, a lot of reactions, especially from the education sector, where a lot of persons who play major roles in that sector began to speak about the matter of the TED fund, the development levy, and all of that, and the fact that government is trying to focus more on NEL funds. But now we are seeing the governor saying that we need to look at that again, a critical issue, and I'm glad that they also take education seriously, because there were those who felt that it was going to threaten public education.
That's right.
And so now that we have agreed on all of this, we are now going to wait on the National Assembly to do what is needful and what is necessary so that it could move the nation forward, because the essence for this is for development.
Absolutely.
And for governors to begin to think outside the box. All of the matters of 50% based on equality, 30% based on derivation, 20% based on population, for me, is still trying to play safe. Because we know that some persons had already said that this was going to favor some states. So I believe the government decided to look at, the governors decided to look at it in this way, so that nobody will feel slighted.
Absolutely. Well, in the end, they've all agreed, because you remember one of the senators said vehemently that we're going to throw these away because it's dead on arrival when the tax reform bill was introduced. But they also felt, governors to some extent, they're like emperors of their states. So at the time the federal government won the case against them over local government autonomy at the Supreme Court, they felt, okay, you won this, you're taking local government away from us, and why is it that you're also introducing these tax reform bills to favor certain region as against other region. But now they've actually come to a roundtable to agree that, yes, we think this is the best way forward. We've agreed based on this sharing formula. That sharing formula can never be taken away, from this. So look at the implication also looks to equitable resource distribution, which is good, economic stability, sustained development funding, which is very, very good for, talking about allocation of development levies to key agencies without terminal clauses ensures that, the ongoing support for education, just like you said, science, engineering, and information technology sector, definitely promoting long-term national development. So it's a good one, and I said kudos to this administration. Looks like we are really, really moving forward.
Well, beyond the laws or the reformation of the bill, whatever it is, implementation is key as far as I am concerned.
That's sacrosanct.
So when all of this is done, how do we move from here? Now, governors now understand the content of the tax reform bill, and so should begin to now think how they are going to implement. They shouldn't wait until it is passed and see the structures they can put in place to addressing key areas. They have to start thinking outside the box, looking at how they can ensure that their states and the people benefit at the end of the day from this. And so that we don't just look at, oh, we agreed, fine, but what happens next after the agreement is
Veronica.
Implementation. So now the work has started. You agreed, so I want the people of each state, the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, to begin to hold their governors accountable when this is passed. To say, you know what, you agreed to it. What are you doing about it? What are the structures you have put in place? How do we move from here as a people so that this can be beneficial for us? Absolutely,
and talking about beneficial for the entire Nigerian people, populace, the exemption of essential goods is actually very good, another perspective, which I really love, because the governors will be looking at, they actually advocated for the continued exemption of essential goods and agricultural produce from VAT to safeguard citizens' welfare and promote agricultural productivity. And I guess that's one of the things that we'll be looking at today on the program.
Absolutely.
Talking about food security.
So dear governors, your work has just begun.